Hello, this is your friendly AI generator speaking. For you today, I have developed a Gundam SEED movie. I hope you enjoy.
Hello, celestial beings. Um, did you know
Hello.
it's did you know it was 12 years since Arcemise and I did the Gundam Seed Destiny review?
Oh gosh. I
Yeah,
feel that in my
y-
knees.
I know, right? I was not I was looking at the playlist cuz I was grabbing some notes for stuff that I knew I wanted to talk about with you.
hmm
And it was like from 12 years ago, the epilogue, and I was like, oh. My YouTube analytics tell me that you guys are still interested in this for even after all these years. So I'm eating crow right now cuz 12 years ago when we recorded that epilogue, Archivize, I we specifically said that this movie was probably not going to happen. And I even just listened to you say, and we're probably better off that it won't.
you know, hindsight's 2024, I guess.
And here we are 18 years after Seed Destiny ended. And
Oof.
Gundam Seed Freedom is a real movie.
That
It
was shown in United States
that
theaters.
was shown in United States theaters that we both went to an actual theater and saw on a big screen.
Yep,
Uh,
we did it.
we did it. We've come full circle, I guess. And I'm going to be honest, I was pretty excited going into this thing because like the reviews from Japan were
hmm
really positive and people
Yeah.
were really doing good. Apparently, this last fiscal year for Bandai was completely nuts, and most of it was money they made off of G Witch in quarters 1 through 3, and then Seed Freedom made up the fourth quarter.
There's
Like,
part of me that wonders it. I don't think they're ever gonna hit this high again. like G-Witch like skyrocketed them in a way that the probably never before and maybe never will again. We'll see. Like until
yeah,
a G-Witch movie comes out.
the people making the people who will make mean comments about my gender identity in the comment section are going to be real upset that we just acknowledged G Witch made a lot of money, but you know.
And it was heckin' good. Uh
It was a very good time. I wish we were here to talk about that show, honestly.
if you guys want us to talk about uh Gundam Witch from Mercury, leave a comment in the
Sound
section
off.
below because I think it's safe to say we'd both be happy to do it, and if the community wants us to, we will get the motivation to do it before another 12 years goes by.
Yeah, I was gonna rewatch it anyway, so that
Yeah, I do want to check out the English dub of it because I've heard really good
same.
things. I loved the Japanese dub was fantastic. I'm open to giving that a try though.
Well, you
Uh,
sent me the upload of the actress who played Cecilia Dote singing the closing theme song, and
yeah,
God,
man,
the
red
pipes on
birthmark.
that woman.
Oh yeah, yeah. For an English translation of that Japanese song to still be able to carry that emotion. Celeste, I do apologize. I feel like we're continuing to veer away
Yeah,
from
because we don't want to look at
Gundam
the
Seed Freedom.
Gundam Seed Freedom, a theatrical Gundam Seed movie released
Mhm.
all these years later, directed by Mitsuo Fukuda. He's still
Yep.
directing, and a story credit is still given to the late Chiaki Morisawa.
hmm
And I'm going to be honest with you. If you told me that Chiaki Morisawa wrote this script 18 years ago and no one did a second draft, I would believe you. I'm going to be
Yeah.
honest, I would absolutely believe you. Um
I
Well,
know one thing walking out of the theater, I'm like, man, that felt like a Gundam Seed experience. Like it felt right at home, really.
yeah,
Uh,
it was amazing how much this movie took me back
yeah,
to where it was, because the aesthetic is despite the fact that it's been updated, it still felt very mid 2000s. We check in with our boy, our the infallible Kiriyamato again.
who's
Um
having a crisis of faith in himself, I guess.
Yeah, so right off the bat we find out that somehow Blue Cosmos is still around. I guess they're, even after all of the super weapons and taking out their leadership two times over, Blue Cosmos still has guys running around.
Yeah,
Okay.
you know. Uh, oh, and we should probably preface this since we're a little rusty. Spoilers. We're
Spoilers,
probably going
yeah.
to talk about the plot quite a bit.
We're
But
gonna, I guess, yeah, we're gonna this is gonna be a full like analysis, so
yeah, yeah.
we're gonna dig into
But
this.
but you do bring up a point, and we were talking ahead of the recording. Like, there's a lot of factions in this movie. There's a lot
We
of
have
people.
the Orb Union, they're back. The Earth Alliance, maybe they're wearing those uniforms anyway, but Blue
Yeah,
Cosmos definitely back. Zaft, they're back.
Zaft for Zaft.
You almost would forget Zaft was back until suddenly they have a military coup 20 minutes before the movie's over, and I'm like, wait, what? Uh,
And then there's Compass.
yeah, now, but yeah, we have Compass, the new interventionist military organization run by Lacus, which admittedly that did address one of our problems with the ending of Seed Destiny of, oh, is Lacus the premier of Zaft now? Like, is she the ruler of, no, I guess they put her in charge of a military interventionist unit instead. I don't know if
Yeah,
that's better.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I don't know if that's better. But yeah, so, and Compass has, so we got Kira's in Compass. We got as like their executive officer, I guess, or well, maybe not executive officer, but CAG, commander of the air group. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because I think they refer to him as Commander.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, he's our CAG. We got uh a much less angry and more puppy like Shin Asuka. Um
yeah.
a
A slightly beaten puppy,
slight
but
yeah,
a puppy nonetheless. He's
yeah,
no
he
longer necessarily Mad Dog Shin, as I think we used to refer to him
we
as.
did. He is, yeah, like the soda cans are safe from him now. He doesn't
Yep.
crush a single one of them. Yeah,
No,
he's
but he crushes that chicken dinner, man.
we got Luna's back on the team. She's got the
Yep.
Gelgoog Menace. Uh
Mm-hmm.
and we have Agnes, a brand new character from
Brand
this
new
movie,
character.
one of many brand new characters. She is truly rancid, and I love her. I
She reminded me so much. Oh gosh, what the heck is the name of that? Guys, my memory is great. I wanna start with that. She gave off such quest energy.
Yeah, kinda. Up to and including being about as trustworthy, like as
Yeah,
far as which side she was gonna stay on at the midway point.
yeah, exactly.
Someone described this movie to me as smashing Endless Waltz and Char's counterattack together, and yeah,
I agree with that sentiment 100%. Because it's kind of got the a lot of the plot kind of trappings of counterattack, right? Um, where there's villains from the past and our heroes like interact with them in on both the battlefield and in conversation. Uh, but it also had the endless waltz vibes of kind of the absurdity of just like Gundam go wah, like uh
The when we get to the final battle, there's a lot to discuss.
and I'll say, and some of the plot trappings of Endless Waltz, where it's just like this plan is kind of absurd, and I don't think it'll work.
If you think about it for more than
If
30,
you think about it
30
too long,
seconds.
and then the body count of Seed.
Yeah. If you forgot how much Mitsuo Fukuda loves shots of people being incinerated, don't worry. Seed Freedom not only will remind you, but will remind you in the first 10 minutes. Because the first intervention you see Kira and company do, there's civilian casualties up the wazoo before they show up.
Yeah, and yeah.
TM Revolution blaring in the background because this is the full Seed experience. TM Revolution's
Yeah,
back.
I did like that part. Like the opening gets us off on the right foot. Like if nothing else, and I said this earlier, like it feels like you're going right back. Like it flows right back into Seed and Seed Destiny. Like the energy that show had back then is right here and present as we start off the movie.
Legitimately, if you were to watch Seed and Destiny back to back and then watched this immediately afterward, you wouldn't think there was an 18-year wait between them. Like, that's
Right?
legit. And I
Yeah.
mean that in all of the best and worst ways simultaneously.
Yeah. So like you kind of said, kind of to kick the plot off, there's armed conflict going on between a couple of different factions. I couldn't tell you which one was which at the
From
beginning
what I
there.
understand, it was more
Was
of the
it?
Blue Cosmos racists, and they were attacking like uh a coordinator industrial zone, like where civilians were, because um if there's one thing Seed actually understands, it's the unbridled hatred of dumb bigots, which it nails.
Yeah.
Absolutely nails.
So our plucky heroes, as I often describe them, they descend from outer space to show up at an ongoing conflict between two other factions and proceed to do their little hey we're so good we're going to disable your weapons and your ability to war, um, and that's what makes us heroic, right? And not leaving people open to be counterattacked or uh,
But that's something that the beginning of the movie got my hopes up. Maybe
yeah.
wrongly, but it did, because Kira does his normal thing, but even from the get-go, he does the you guys support me, I'm gonna go shoulder way too much, and Shin
I'm
is
gonna
kind of like,
go be the hero.
yeah, I'm gonna go be the hero. And even Shin is kind of like, hey man, I've got like a Justice Gundam now. I'm literally here to help you. Oh, okay, you're just gonna ignore me. And on top of that, as soon as Kira and company intervene, the dudes who are losing start attacking the guys who are retreating. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah. And honestly, it didn't get played up enough because Kira has kind of this moment of crisis where he does like he's essentially goes in defending one side against the other, and
Mhm.
then all of a sudden when the tide turns and the people he was defending go on the offensive, he makes that decision, that call, I'm going to disarm them now. And so they essentially attack the people that they just were defending, which
Which
again was a big problem that we highlighted in the past with this whole like plan. Uh,
And I really do like that setup,
mhm,
because
mhm.
you have Kira's teammates are
Yeah.
not comfortable with him going off the handle and doing this.
Mhm.
There's an impression that that a lot of people are having trouble trusting Compass, because their commander is like famous for going off the handle and doing this. And meanwhile, you have both Kira and Lacus, who have been arguing for humanity's better angels, and after all these years, they haven't been proven right yet, and it's just kind of the same.
So this takes place in Cosmic Era 75. When did Seed Destiny end?
I want to say 73 or 74, so it's only like a 2-year time skip.
Okay, because I was like, these people do not look any older. They still look like children.
Some of them look younger, if anything.
Yeah. that was one thing I was struggling, like, this looks like it takes place the day after Seed Destiny ends.
There was this weird decision, like Hisashi Hirai, I've made fun of. I don't think in the mid-2000s, Hisashi Hirai was a very in-demand character designer, which I still don't entirely understand, because it kind of felt like he had a young boy body. Yeah, he had one face. There was young boy body, older man body, different haircuts, and woman. That was... like, that's what it felt like his character designs were. And Hirai has improved a lot over the years, and this felt like him regressing, but then made that really weird choice of, oh, you can tell the women are older because they all have lipstick now.
Yeah, it did stand out in their design a lot more, and it was a very pouty lipstick.
It was extremely pouty lipstick. It was
really
impossible.
Big fish lips.
Yeah, that just these big old fish lips. It was also in that opening scene, we were they let us know right away, hey, get used to CG mechs, because we're doing CG mechs now, and
they look good.
They looked good.
They looked really nice.
Massive, considering what an eyesore they were back when Sunrise started playing with it in Origin. It's good that they finally figured out how to blend. It actually looked quite good most of the time, so I was impressed by that.
And you know, I'm sure we'll get into it later. All the signature moves, multiple times.
Multiple times, yeah. Not stock footage this time, digitally.
Yep. So there's definitely plenty of that going on. But anyway, so the conflict ends in a weird foot. Casualties abound.
There's a guy named Michael, and they haven't taken him out yet.
There's
don't worry
really
too much
weird.
about Michael. They really make it sound like Michael's gonna be important. He won't be. Don't worry.
He won't be important. And you know, so we kind of cut to Lacus, and she's doing her thing to try to get more of these nations on board with the Compass mission, I guess. It's kind of like they're trying to set up Interpol, and they need all of these other nations to, like, hey, like, will you allow us to enter your airspace whenever we want?
Which, seems like it might be a hard sell.
It might be a hard sell. It's crazy how much warfare is going on in this version of history still. Like obviously there's conflict going around on Earth all the time, but like mechanized space warfare combat on mass scale, like honest to goodness war.
It's going on, and we find out about Foundation, the other big faction, the Kingdom of Foundation.
And it's, but before we move too far, I did want to mention, like, part of that big opening fight is like the suits that they're fighting against. Like, what the heck was it called? The Destroy Gundam?
Yeah, the Destroy Gundam came back
in Seed. So like one of the biggest bads from Seed Destiny is like here in the opening sequence.
Where do you hide that?
They just had
one.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this. They just had two.
They had 5 at one point during Destiny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So they had them laying around, I guess.
they just have a bunch of them, and apparently they had one more. So
It
I
won't be the
was
last gigantic weapon that was dismantled in a previous episode that we'll
that
see.
I'll say this: I was a little bit disappointed. This movie is overly bloated, so it's good they
It
didn't do
is.
this. But I was a little bit disappointed we didn't at least get like a reaction shot from Shin. Like I would have liked him to have a little bit more of a seize destroy Gundam, maybe get like freezes up for a second, like, oh
Yeah.
crap. Like my my girlfriend on my sort of not really
My ghost
girlfriend,
girlfriend.
ghost girlfriend piloted that. Yeah, like you'd feel I'm a little disappointed we didn't get a reaction out of him during that bit.
Considering that she makes an appearance later, a really bizarre appearance later, but I
we're
laughed.
we're
So
gonna
uh,
get
we'll get
to that.
we'll get to it. Sorry, guys.
We're gonna
It's a
get to
long
that.
way. We do get we get the shot of Lacus trying to get these different leaders of the world to kind of support her and Kira's kind of mission. They have I'm trying to remember, it was the Millennium in Seed Destiny,
No,
or
this is
that
a
was a new
the
ship.
Millennium's a new ship. It's
Okay.
they because there's enough exposition to make Frank Herbert blush. Like they established that it's the same class ship as the Minerva from
Yeah.
Destiny, but it's a different ship. So
I thought, I'm like, this, it looks different, but again, I haven't watched Sea Destiny probably since we recorded. So again, a lot came back. Like I fell back into the groove, but it was difficult to keep track of a lot of the stuff that would kind of get thrown at us right away.
while we're talking about things getting thrown at us right away in the movie, we have to talk about the actual villain of the film, even more so than Orphe in the Kingdom of Foundation, and that being that Mitsuo Fukuda watched Captain America Civil War, saw those scenes where every time they changed country, it was in big letters which country it was, and he's like, I gotta one up that. So basically, every time the camera angle changes, subtitles tell you not only what country you're in, but what room you're in. And it's
It
the
it
only thing
made
I
it
would.
it made it challenging because you're also trying to read the subtitles for the dialogue.
It's the only thing that made me regret not seeing the dub was
Yeah.
like the constant.
There's just a lot on the screen at all times.
Yeah,
Um,
every moment of the movie, there's zillions of things on screen. And
yeah.
yeah, the subtitles telling you what room they are currently in are one of those things.
So yeah, we alluded to it. So there's this new. Uh, I couldn't quite tell if it was a nation or just some kind of organization called Foundation.
They are the Kingdom of Foundation, and I'm at least I'm relatively certain they're the Kingdom of Foundation because every subtitle when you get to their country is the Royal Palace this, the
Yeah,
Royal Palace that. So they clearly have a monarchy, whatever they are.
yeah,
So
because it's Prime Minister Orphe Lam Tao and Queen Aura, the leader of Foundation. Um, and yeah, so as part of this, it is a government. Okay, so guys, I
okay,
got
yeah.
I got the plot synopsis from Wikipedia to help remind me
I don't
what happened.
blame you. There's a lot, yeah. So yeah, they Compass wants to open negotiations with Foundation because they're very militarily advanced and they seem really cool
Mhm.
and Prime Minister Orphe definitely isn't giving off Griffith from Berserk vibes. Like it's just
Yeah, and in the middle of this, so a big focus of the movie is the relationship between Kira and Lacus.
mhm.
Um, and like in as this kind of this meeting with Foundation and stuff is starting to take place, and Kira and Lacus we do get a little snapshot of like their domestic home life.
That scene's really cute. I liked that a lot.
Yeah, it's really well done. It's still odd to me to have both motorcycles parked in your living room like that, but you know.
Yeah, that's weird. You guys, like,
You drive it on a beach, you're gonna get sand everywhere.
you're gonna get sand everywhere. Two, Lacus is Space Taylor Swift. She can afford a garage. That's all.
And just think about that statement, where Taylor Swift was 12 years ago compared to today, where she is boosting the economy of anywhere she has a concert.
Credit where credit is due. Gundam Seed and Seed Destiny correctly predicted Swifties. Like,
yes,
absolutely correctly predicted Swifties. If Taylor Swift has access to, I swear to God, if Taylor Swift had access to a Gundam, her football player boyfriend would have, like, interceded in, like, world conflicts by now. That's all I'm saying.
I do like Travis Kelce a little bit more, though, than...
yeah, you like Travis
Kira.
Kelce more than Kira Yamato? That's fair. I can see that.
But so like... And there's a little bit of strain on the relationship, and it revolves around just how...
Kira's overworking himself.
Kira's overworking himself. Lacus wants to be there for him, but like where she is needed is not the kind of the same space. And so there's a lot of like, hey, you know, I made, you know, she makes dinner for the two of them, and he gets home wicked late.
And she's asleep on the couch.
She's asleep. I think it was
and
like 11:30 or something at night.
And the first thing he does is look up stuff about the enemy, because
he does pull a blanket up over her. Credit where it's due. That's the first thing he does.
Okay, that's true. Yeah, because that scene legitimately is very sweet, and it's followed by like a motorcycle date scene that's also really sweet. Like you feel
they go have a picnic.
You feel like there's a very solid foundation to this relationship, but the strain is also real because, like, you're seeing Lacus is having trouble connecting with him because, like you were mentioning, she is in a different sphere of power, but even the other mobile suit pilots are like, I don't know what to do with him right now. He's being weird.
And it's a side of Kira that we haven't seen since Seed, I would say.
Yes, right? Hard agree.
Because in Seed, a big part was his growth as a protagonist and all the strife and challenges that he had to overcome on that side of things. Seed Destiny, you know, we jokingly called him, you know, the Mecha Christ, because he could do no wrong, and he was always very confident in his righteousness.
Kira never has like a crisis of conscience or like questions himself in Destiny, and I was very glad that this movie sets that up right out the gate. That
almost to the point though that it almost feels like it comes out of left field to start. Like, and I think it's just the extra focus on his mental state, which we didn't have previously. So now it's kind of amplified during a stressful time, we'll say, that he's been going through. Again, he's probably only like 15. I don't know. Still looks like a child.
Yeah, he still looks like a child. So
can legally drive, I guess, but
he still has that awful bondage outfit that comes back. So.
And I have a note on that later when we get to it. So yeah, they're facing struggles, not from the perspective of like, do they still love each other or anything, like, you know, it's not a big kind of drama thing as much as it's like the struggle to what's the word I'm looking for? There's no
domestic pathos. Almost.
Yeah, there's no real, at least at this point, insecurity about their relationship.
Oh, don't worry, we're gonna get to that.
we'll get to that. That they're just struggling with how they can support one another, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Is the big crux of their troubles.
I did love that, like,
Yeah,
sincerely.
yeah.
Like,
It's yeah. I think that was pretty well executed from that perspective. All right, so now
let's
we're
go to
gonna
Foundation.
we're gonna go to Foundation and add Foundation. So it's a weird place.
Well, we don't find this out right out the gate, but really making me scratch my head why Lacus wanted to form an alliance with these guys in the first place. Like, one of the things we learn pretty quick is that they're one of the only countries that actually, like, instituted the Destiny plan that Durandal wanted to do in Seed Destiny. So it's like, oh, so they're weird authoritarians. That's
Yeah,
not concerning.
and that's, I guess, another aspect is that Kira is also kind of haunted by the words of Chairman Durandal in those final moments, which I guess he,
I'm haunted by Chairman Durandal, but mainly because I'm sad that Shuichi Ikeda has that on his resume now.
yeah. But yeah, so at least to me, it was, again, the beginning of this movie. We get a lot thrown at us, so it was hard to kind of keep up, especially reading the subtitles as we're changing locations. I think we get a sneak peek at this point of Secret Agent Athrun. Secret
Alex Dino, you
Agent
mean? The return of Alex Dino? The
Athrun. Sadly,
Athrun.
that name didn't come up, but
I'm
yeah.
also sad that didn't come up.
So we get a little snapshot that there is a very wealthy and well-off section of this country, and that there is a rather brutal, like, poor district, we'll say, where we literally see people just get gunned down in the streets. We hear like sirens going off, and it sounds like it's rather lawless, apart from just the goon squad going around shooting people that's like if they happen upon them. And that's where we see Athrun's kind of sneaking around in the alleys, kind of
Yes.
doing his secret agent thing.
We also get
We
to
don't
see
know
the
anything else about why he's there at that point. He's
yeah,
just
yeah. It's really just Athrun appears so that so the camera can go, "Yep, he's still here. Don't worry,
he's in the
everybody."
movie, guys.
He's
Don't worry. I know we only put Kira and Lacus and a little bit of Shin on the cover, but no, Athrun's here for sure.
but like also in Foundation, aside from it being super Hunger Games out there,
Mm,
it turns out Dune rules apply. Like everyone, like
has
aside
a
from
sword.
aside from seeing everyone's like dress uniforms, which by the way, 11 out of 10 I adore that the Compass dress uniforms have berets that do not match the rest of the uniform. 11 out of 10, love it. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like Shin, Luna, and Agnes have these blue berets that do not match their maroon uniforms at all. I love it. It's just
I
so good. Like
I can't lie. Like, it was hard enough keeping track of the factions. Like, the uniforms don't match with any of these people. Like, I couldn't tell
no.
who was aligned with whom. Uh, just
Well,
because, apart from the bad guys, they wore the same thing. But all of our protagonist characters had their like original outfits still from when they were affiliated with different factions.
yeah, like the Compass uniforms look like Zaft uniforms, which I
Mm-hmm.
cannot imagine helps their argument very well. Not to mention the fact that all of their fighters except for Mulaflaga is a coordinator. So again, not a great look. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, I don't know. I'm not.
Mulaflaga.
we'll get back to him too. Don't worry, he's also in this. If you were worried that there were too many characters, hey, speaking of too many characters,
Gosh.
we also find out that the main followers of Dune rules are the elite Black Knights. The Black
There's like
Knights.
how many? Is there 5 or 6 of them?
There's a bunch of them, and I literally I think there's 5, and I can give you traits of 3 of them, and the other 2 are guy and other guy. There's
There's
still
Go ahead.
there's silver-haired guy, laughing murder lady.
Is that the silver-haired guy with the little devil horns for hair?
Yes, silver-haired guy with devil horns for hair, silver-haired guy with a muzzle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
Why?
Shura, I remember Shura is the silver-haired guy with the
Yeah,
horns.
yeah. Shura's the silver-haired guy with the horns. Laughing murder girl. Daniel Harper is the name of the guy with the muzzle. They don't say that in the movie. The only reason I know his name is that he shares it with a prominent anti-fascist journalist. So I was like, why is there a guy with a muzzle named after an anti-fascist journalist? And why is there a grown man with a muzzle and that's never explained or acknowledged by anyone?
I just want to throw out there, like, the cast list on the Wikipedia page has that Daniel Harper listed a higher billing than Shura.
Which
He's
is
like six people above him.
which is even weirder, because Shura actually does things, not nearly enough to justify his being a named character, but he does things.
He does things.
And like immediately we know, like, if it weren't for the fact that Orphe is already given off Griffith vibes,
Mm-hmm.
like his underlings, the Black Knights, aren't helping, because literally the first thing they do when they see Kira and his mobile suit pilots is antagonize them and yell "May your knife chip and shatter" at them, and then Shin ends up having a Dune fight with one of them. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
it,
I just realized one of them, Albert Heinlein. I don't know.
my
Other
God.
random names. Uh, but yeah, so like the Black Knights, like, it's a weird introduction. So our protagonists get off their ship, Lacus in the lead, and a big part about the interaction is that Orphe, when he sh- I forget, they like kind of shake hands, like kisses her hand. When they have their first interaction, uh, she kind of enters like the seed trance,
Yeah,
and
she's like super swooning. Her eyes glaze over. It's
yeah, and
romantic music plays. Kira immediately looks concerned. Yeah.
yeah, from behind, like he just kind of notices her like freeze up because she's kind of hypnotized practically.
Hmm.
And but like there's like little glimpses of memories and stuff that are kind of flashing by, um, stuff that looks familiar but also unfamiliar because we haven't seen it before. Uh,
I
like
think there's even some spots where Orphe, where like his face is plastered over Kira's in memory. Yeah, like,
yeah, that was a weird part, but because they are like some of them are like flashbacks from the show.
uh, but some
So
of
that's
them are
why it's a weird
flashbacks from the
combo.
show with Orphe's face where it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Da-na-na. Who's that Xeon mech? Da-na-na.
It's Gelgoog.
Gelgoog.
Um, and so there's we have the knife fight, uh, and
A fancy ballroom
there's a
scene?
fancy ball scene where they meet this leader, Queen Aura, and they just start chatting about how great would it be if there wasn't conflict, and yeah, that's awesome. And like all of our characters are kind of like separated from one another. Like Lacus is talking to the Queen and Orphe. Kira's just kind of wandering around being
Yeah, Kira's like just being a weirdo. Like, I'm gonna be honest, he's being weird. Like, he's being a
He's
wet
not feeling
blanket.
this. He's not
Yeah.
feeling this party. He's just like, I kind of want to leave.
Yeah, he
So he's like
clearly...
around the edges. Shin and Luna Maria. Shin's chowing down.
I love Shin. He is, like, all these people are giving him dirty looks because there's this, like, fancy rich people buffet, and he has shoved everything on his plate, and his mouth is full as he's shoving more things on his plate. Absolute Chad behavior. Just...
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
love my biological son, Shin Asuka.
Shin is a lot of fun in this movie. Like I
He's my
forget,
favorite part.
he did get bested during that sword fight, but it was also kind of a
Which was a strike to his ego, because we established earlier he really wants to impress Kira,
he
and
does.
like he fails miserably in the sword
he
fight.
he wants to prove like it's not a notice me senpai kind of thing necessarily. It is more of like, hey, I said I would be here to help you, and when we said that, like, you said you can be there, like, we will be equals in this, and you're treating me like a subordinate that can't do anything. And he's like,
Mm-hmm.
I can do things. I am skilled, not from a place of arrogance. He knows that he's a skilled fighter and he can help out.
It's
So
not even
that's
like from it's not even from I feel bad about that time I tried to kill you sort of thing. It
no,
really
he owns
is
that. He's like, yeah, I almost killed you, man.
like,
Depending on how many times it gets retconned that, oh yeah, I let him win. And
yeah, I mean, even when Agnes tries to use that as like to pick on Shin, like, he seems to be like, yeah, I did in fact beat the commander that one time. You're correct.
yeah. So it's probably worth mentioning at this time. So Agnes, like, she's kind of weird in that she's constantly trying to get with all the guys
She is,
on the team
yeah, she
who
is
who
like,
who are seen with their significant others. Like, is she a homewrecker? Like intentionally?
so Agnes is such a messy, like, from a writing perspective, she's an awful character. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you have every sexist stereotype. She's even like further hurt by the fact that it's in Japanese, that's Flay's voice actress returning as Agnes this
Oh
time.
yeah.
So you have this character who her whole thing is she plays up her sex appeal. She's only interested in guys who are already dating someone else, and like prides herself in that.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just she's an awful person, and I'm gonna be real with you, I kind of love her. Like, I partly because the movie hates her so much.
The
I
movie
almost...
does not have a high opinion of her too.
Oh yeah, 'cause the movie, this is a good opportunity for me to own up to when I was wrong about something.
Sure.
Let's detour real quick to own up to 12 years ago. Cele was a very I don't stand by the things that I said about Mere Campbell for most of those videos, because I think I come off as a slut-shaming misogynist, and I don't like that about myself, and I want to own that was not good analysis.
Mm-hmm.
I stand by everything I said in those videos except for all of those scenes. I feel bad
Mm-hmm.
about it. Like, I legitimately do, and I want to take this opportunity to address that. And I don't know if part of it is my guilt over that, or part of it is that I I am a feminist, and I think this movie hates women, but I feel like I have no choice but to stan Agnes, because on one hand, she is a selfish, self-righteous, home-wrecking little menace who purposefully makes every situation she's in worse. On the other hand, get that thing, girl. You have a gyan, and you're literally the worst person ever. You go, girl. You gave us nothing. That is my unironic feminist endorsement of Agnes, the worst character who I love.
But yeah, so like she starts off with kind of trying to hook up with Shin, and he's kind of both oblivious to it, and like Luna is right there. Uh, she then like does try to make a pass at Kira. At well, getting a little ahead of myself. She does try to make a pass at Kira, but only after Orphe asks Lacus to dance.
Which
And Lacus goes with it. Like,
Lacus goes with it, and her eyes glaze over again. She's
yeah.
got the
It was kind of a weird vibe where it was just a little unclear if it was kind of this trance thing or if it was a political thing, because
Is it a
that's the other
political thing?
thing.
Is he actually that charismatic? Yeah.
Because a lot of what's going on with her at this party is the political machinations, and this is where like her job is, you might say, and that's kind of why Kira is feeling like maybe kind of powerless at this moment. Like his thing, and he's like, I'm good at fighting, I'm not good at this peace stuff. Ironically,
I'm not
uh
good at dance. I'm not good at dancing or yeah,
and
and
And so, yeah, Orphe asks Lacus to dance. They have a big like dancing number. She's really swooning, like from a dance perspective. Like her back is arched frequently, like her head's just kind of lolling about.
and
Um,
Kira starts getting real jelly. Like
he gets kind of, but I wouldn't describe it as jealous actually.
okay.
He because the emotion that I kind of read from the scene is like almost a, is he better for her than me kind of thing.
Mm.
Because again,
Mm.
the crux of their strife in their relationship is less of does she like me, you know, are we or it's more of a compatibility thing. Like, am I good for her? Is he good, or am I good enough for him,
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of thing. So it is more of a self reflected anxiety as opposed to one that's projected onto somebody. I would, at
Mm.
least is kind of what I would argue. It never really felt like a I'm jealous of this guy Orphe.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm depressed and sad that she's seems to be kind of being more receptive to him. Um,
But like what kind of follows, we get this scene kicks off just a slew of back-to-back two people have an uncomfortable conversation and a third party walks in at exactly the wrong time. But
happens a
it's like
lot in this movie.
but it's like three or four of those scenes back to back to back, because you have Kira like awkwardly watching Orphe and Lacus, and then they go outside to talk by the fountain, which again is like shot for shot taken from a scene in Berserk. I'm sorry, I'm really stuck on this Berserk thing, but it is. It's like just
Where
Orphe is
Orphe's
just
like,
surface.
isn't the destiny plan like the bee's knees?
Yeah, and for some reason this still isn't like a big enough red flag. And now
Yeah.
we get a little bit more information on why she's Lacus is mesmerized by that. But you have like Kira kind of like watching awkwardly, like
Mm-hmm.
me at school dances, like and like that's followed by that
It, I'm trying to, because it isn't. I'm
Agnes
trying to remember
tries
what.
to get him to dance during that, and Kira says no. A little bit after like a little bit after that. This is where like the time
sequence and like when things are spatially happening with one another, because it goes that at that point, Kira kind of walks away and Lacus rejects the advances of Orphe. She wanders off. Like a little split scene happens, and then we're back with Lacus hanging out in like a little gazebo, and suddenly Orphe's showing up again and being like, "Hey,
again. Yeah.
it doesn't seem like we just talked to each other and you rejected my advances, so here I am again."
Doing literally the same thing.
And here's like Kira going, "Oh, look, they're hanging out together. I guess I'll walk away." There's also the Black Knight character, the girl with the blue hair,
who is like pining for Orphe constantly.
To an absurd degree. I could not help but laugh because the camera shows her like framed on one side with the couple in the distance, and she's just like clutching her shoulders and crying to herself. I'm just like, this is the silliest looking thing.
Yeah, the CW drama sensibilities are absolutely back in full force.
Oh, my Lanta.
But and then and that's followed by we get a scene of like Kira like back at the ship, and Agnes again tries to make a pass at him.
Yeah,
but this time Lacus is outside and overhears, and now she's
trying
all
to bring him dinner,
trying to bring him Haro-shaped rice balls. Haro-shaped rice balls.
Haro-shaped rice balls. She overhears the conversation with Agnes, and for whatever reason, like some comment just kind of sets her up, and she's like, "Oh," and runs away. Kira walks out of the room, leaving Agnes crying, and then he realizes that she must, Lacus must have been here literally 2 seconds ago. Runs down the hall and can't find her, is then wandering around the dockside, and Lacus is nowhere to be found, and then Orphe finds him.
What is the Prime Minister doing wandering by the docks? Is he looking for sailors? Did he not beat Shenmue?
And Orphe does like this kind of like mustache twirling, like, I am better than you, she's gonna wind up with me kind of thing.
It's very like a high school mean girl.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, what right do you have to hold her with those blood-stained hands? Do you think I'm the bad guy yet?
You think I'm the bad guy? And then another scene happens.
Agnes wanders off and runs into Shura again, and maybe does the sex at him. I'm not sure. For considering
she goes crying, like finds him. It's like a scene out of 0083, man. He's in a mobile suit hanger just doing his computer thing, and she wanders in crying, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" And she's like, "Am I not beautiful? What does it take for people to love me?" And he's like, "I love you." And she's like, "Oh, thank you." And he's just like, "Well, that was easy."
This is simultaneously one of the most chaste, horny movies I've ever seen. In that, like, you have 13-year-old boy levels of objectification of women, but like it is afraid to depict anything beyond like outlines of people's bodies, and it's like, oh, okay, this is weird.
Da-na-na. Who's that Zeon mech? Da-na-na.
It's Gyan! Gyan!
Alright, so moving things along, we jump ahead to the next day, we'll say. Foundation thinks they know the location of this antagonist, Michael.
Yeah,
and they're
he's gonna be important, you guys.
We know where this guy is. We will, he's in this area over here. You guys, we'll authorize the Eurasia, the United Earth.
Yeah, Eurasian
people.
Federation. So yeah.
I kept saying Eurasia a lot, so we'll go with that. will allow you guys into the airspace next to our nation,
But
but
don't cross into sovereign territory.
don't cross into sovereign territory, or we will take that as an act of war. And so it's weird, like Vietnam, Cambodia.
We
Cambodia.
find out that the Black Knights, basically their mobile suit aesthetic is Shovel Knight. I'm not joking. They have
Yeah,
Shovel Knight mobile suits
with red laser capes.
with red
For
laser capes. I don't know why. They're
it
cool,
looks
I guess.
it's for aesthetic purposes only. Uh, and so they kick off this fight. Our heroes fly in, and so
There's
this
even
is a joint effort with the Millennium ship is hanging out in the dock
mhm.
of was it Foundation? I think
Yeah,
it's Foundation where they're at the capital. That's where Millennium the ship is. Archangel is doing kind of a joint pincer maneuver.
yep.
Pilot, Muru is still the captain. They're
Mulaflaga's back for, you know.
yeah,
uh,
they've got the black tri-stars. I think
yeah,
are the Archangel ship at the time.
the Black
We
Tri-Stars
got
are
so
back.
many characters on this
Yeah,
movie.
there's too many characters. Yeah, the
Uh,
Black Tri, but now one of them has a Gyan and the other two have Gelgooks.
yeah,
You're gonna have to take my word for it. I'm judging by the look on your face. You're like, yep, that sounds right, Cele, sure.
yeah. I know. Luna Maria had the red
She has the
uh,
Gelgoog Menace.
Gelgoog menace, and then anyway, so there's a fight breaks out as they kind of make this joint effort to go track down this guy Michael, and Lacus is with Orphe, and they're kind of in this command center during this operation because she ultimately wants to be closer to Kira during these events. She wants to be there for him.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And
and
unfortunately for Kira's mental health, that means she's in a room with Orphe.
yeah,
Which, yeah.
so they try to. So what happens is as the fight continues, and this is where that second like half destroy Gundam shows up.
But I love, this is actually one of the things that I unironically love in the movie. I want to point out this Destroy Gundam, because judging by the damage on it, it's implied that that's the same one that they fought in the first scene of the movie. Another kind of strike against Kira's policy of, I'll just disarm them and they have to stop. Because, well, these guys clearly didn't stop. They patched it back together and they went right back to the genociding.
Yeah,
Like
like you do. uh, and so it's Kira, Shin, Mu. I think
Luna,
that's kind of the main.
Agnes. Yeah.
Like Luna's back at the ship, I think.
Oh yeah, Luna's like in Snipe. Yeah, she's hanging out with the ship to do sniper stuff.
So many characters. Oh, Gyan is
Agnes.
there.
Yeah,
Agnes
Agnes
is
is
with
in her
them.
Gyan.
All right, and so they're on the offensive. There's a good if I recall, there's a kind of team up to defeat the Destroy Gundam.
Yeah, Shin
With
and Kira
Shin.
actually get to like team up, and it's really cool. And it's a little
The
weird having Shin in the Justice, but like, yeah, he's like,
and like the scene, the combat of all this, like I think is really well done. This stuff probably more so than some of the later stuff, at least, is fairly you in the moment. It's a little easier to keep track of what's going on.
you can kind of tell who's who. Don't get used
Yeah,
to that feeling.
no. And so like at the during the climax of this fight, we find out that one of the Black Knights, I think it's Shura. No, it's one of the other ones. Like uses their
Psychic
coordinator
powers.
superpowers
Yeah.
to kind of telepathically brainwash Kira into thinking his target, this Michael character, is over there. And by over there, I mean across that line that he's not supposed to go across. And so he just goes, into this kind of crazy mode where it's just like the screen even kind of goes red at the edges to really emphasize this tunnel vision that he gets.
Yeah, he's dead set. So everyone's like, "Hey, Kira, don't cross that border. We
Yeah,
don't have."
everyone's trying to stop him. They're on the radio. He's like, "No, he's there. I can get him. I can end this." Like it does feed into this kind of emotional strife his character is going through. Like you can see how it would be easy to manipulate him, especially kind of from a hypnotized perspective. That by getting this guy Michael, his troubles, you might say, will go away with it.
Can I be real with you for a second about this?
Sure.
This is one of the fact that Kira is hypnotized, I think, is kind of a weakness to this scene, because
Mm.
honestly, I think the scene would have been stronger if Kira was just so tunnel vision about wanting to end the war that he just
Yeah.
that he just goes for it. And
Yeah.
maybe the stress of Lacus seeming to be interested in this other guy and wanting the war to be over, like, it would
Mm-hmm.
be I feel like it would be more interesting if he just gets tunnel vision and does something stupid instead of removing Kira's agency, a thing that Fukuda just loves doing. Like,
Yeah. I can see that. I think it makes the next beat of the story challenging because the whole thing is uh, the Orphe kind of makes the push to Lacus and the rest of the Compass folks there is like, you have to stop this guy. You have to stop him now, or like there will be trouble. Like, we will go to war with you if you don't stop him. And so Lacus has to kind of order to shoot down Kira to
and
stop him.
and so the Shovel Knights, uh
They're
the
like,
shovel
yeah.
yeah, so the Shovel Knight mechs make cartoonishly short work of freedom and justice. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, they really do. So there's like communications jamming that goes. So basically this springs the trap, right? So
ah,
it was all a ploy to lure these guys in, and Shin and Kira and even Mu, like they're all separated from one another. They're attacked by the Black Knights, and for the sake of keeping things moving, like there's these nuclear missiles that get launched that were all like hidden in the woods. uh
and the like
Very
they
specific targets.
yeah, at very not just at very specific targets, but they're set off by the Black Knights, but
Hmm.
they want it to look like the Alliance or maybe Compass did it so that they have
Yeah,
yeah, it's a false
they have
flag.
that. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, if I recall correctly, I think Foundation gets blown up,
Yeah,
the
they blow
capital
up
city.
Foundation proper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they blow up the Capitol. They blow up. So one of them was aimed at, and that scene in particular, I do want to take a moment to highlight. So, uh, the Millennium ship is at that site. They get word that the nuclear missile is coming. They dive their ship into the water, and Luna is there with a sniper rifle. She manages to take out the first one, and then the second one just it changes course on her too quickly. She can't. She makes a great effort.
I really did like that because of how, like,
It was a
Luna
tense
got
scene.
it was a tense scene, and in Destiny, Luna got done so dirty in that
Mm.
she has an artillery Zaku, and we never see her good at shooting in the show.
Yeah.
Like, to the point that Super Robot Wars has a joke about it, that she is an artillery class pilot, but she only has bonuses for swords. Like it,
Her short range weapons are long range weapons.
like yeah that like this is a so like this has been a recurring joke, and having her get like actually score like a proper sniper hit was really cool. And even when she misses one, it's like everyone else on the ship is like, I didn't think she was going to hit the first one, let's be honest. Like it's like,
well yeah, and yeah, that scene, it plays out like I said, I really liked how it happens where she scores the first hit and the ship is like, you got to get out of there. The second one, there's no
the
chance, and
captain
she's
is
like, you don't know unless you try.
yeah,
And
the captain's full on is like, Luna, no one could hit that.
get out of there.
Get out of there, and she's just too heroic to
Yeah. So
not.
she does her best. She fires with everything she has, and then there is that moment where she realizes I can't make it, and just like turns and dives into the water herself. Like I think they really captured a great emotional beat for her in that moment, where like just the defeat of that. It's hard to articulate. It's very well done.
It's the best written scene Luna has ever had. I'm gonna be honest. Like
I mean that's not a high bar, but
that's
it's
not a high bar,
point.
but like as a Luna defender, yeah, it's probably you gave Maya Sakamoto some material to bite into, because like because she's a good actress. She can go a long way with you give Maya Sakamoto a bad script and she will still pull it off. Case in point, the romance in Fate Apocrypha is dog crap, but Maya Sakamoto played it straight. She sold it. Anyway.
She did play it straight.
That's actually its straightness is the problem. No, anyway,
exactly. anyway, so also during this is that the Archangel is attacked by at least two of these Black Knights, and
because they Maru saw them doing the false flag. So
she happened to spot them as they launched the nuclear missiles, and so they turn to attack. We lose two of the Black Tri-Stars. The guys get taken out here,
and then the iconic Archangel gets totaled.
It gets destroyed, and there is a scene. There is a scene where the bridge crew, like they have to eject the engines out the back, like they're abandoning ship. The bridge crew is one of the last ones to go, and there is a shot where one of these Black Knights has a gun to the bridge. Muru is the only one left on it. She just manages to escape, but like the thing about this, and I know obviously we're spoiling it, but the stakes get set. Like, this ship was not safe. No one is really safe if you're in this gigantic cast that we have here. Like, if this is our last shot of at Seed and Seed Destiny, like, people are gonna start dying.
You would think that would be what they're setting up, except
you'd think that'd be what they are setting up.
Like, again, with this script needs another pass, because it's shocking to lose the Archangel, and it's shocking to lose the Black Tri-Stars.
The one surviving Black Tri-Star is the eye patch lady. I can't tell you.
I don't know their names.
Characters' names are. She actually manages. She makes it out and saves Shin. And so Kira is on the ropes. His suit is like totaled, and that's when.
Frickin' wait a minute, you forget, just when it looks like Kira's completely out of luck, Agnes rides in and literally takes her out of the knees. Yep, that's right. Agnes is betraying our gang because she got affection from Shura. That's all it took. Now she's with Foundation too. Oh no, the character we just met wasn't trustworthy.
and to clarify, Shura did not ask for her to do this.
Shura did not ask for her to do this.
Own accord. When she saw Kira being like decimated, she's like, I can help with that.
And when all hope seems lost, now you can do it. Here you come.
Secret Agent Atherin.
That's right, riding in like an angel of victory comes Sharzagok.
Yep.
Wait, what? Yes, Atherin shows up in Sharzagok with an X-Wing backpack.
We forgot to mention they do still use the Star Wars like TIE fighter laser effects.
I don't think they did that before. I don't remember the Star Wars sound effects in Seed. That was like...
Wasn't that Sharp's counterattack that they used?
I don't remember all the Earth Alliance rifles sounding like TIE fighters though. That was really distracting.
It was a little bit. Anyway, so Atherin shows up, fights Shura to a standstill.
Even does the Char pose, like
and does I will say like he does a lot better than Kira did. Like
Atherin
Kira
comes in like skill issue.
yeah, exactly. And
Get good, scrub.
So it's around this time like Orphe and kind of take slack because they evacuated a little bit ago
Because of the nukes. Yeah.
Because of the nukes.
Shura like literally says to Agnes, "Hey, you coming?" And of course she.
Yeah. He's like, no, you can come if you want. Again, like the credit where it's due, the agency is all on Agnes. Like there's no real manipulation from Shura or anything. He's just like, yeah, you're welcome if you want.
I have some thoughts on that, but we'll get to that.
Okay. Agency as her character, but maybe not from the writing perspective.
Anyway. Yeah. We'll continue.
So Atherin, they essentially lead people to believe. So Atherin, they whisk away with what's Luna's sister?
Marin, Homewrecker Hawk.
So Marin is with Atherin, and they round up all the survivors of this and get them to a secret underwater base. And so we get Muru is there, Muru and Mu are there. The Black Tri-Star lady, Shin, Atherin, Kira, and just a couple other randos. And and basically it's like everyone thinks that they're dead.
And Atherin's like, I left for like the first half of the movie and it got this bad. This is what happens when I'm gone, you guys.
This is what happens when I'm not the main character, like in Gundam SEED Destiny.
Where he definitely was the main character. Definitely.
Yes.
We believe you, Mitsuo Fukuda. We still believe you.
And so, okay, so machinations start happening. Orphe is they kind of make their big proclamation to the world saying, hey, we've been betrayed by Compass and this United Federation, and they're like, we're gonna push this Destiny plan thing.
We're in charge now, based on we're in charge now.
You obviously we've been wrongfully attacked by these people, and therefore, and it's you norms, coordinators are where it's at. And so it's a lot to track, because we do cut to Kigali.
We haven't mentioned her at all yet, but yeah, Kigali's in Orb.
Kind of the first time she did have an earlier meeting with Lacus over the phone.
Like she's in Orb.
But yeah, otherwise this is like her first appearance.
She's an Orb. She spends 90% of this movie sitting behind a desk, and there is a small child hanging out with her. And I'm gonna be honest with you. Every time that kid was on screen, I was like, who is that? who is that? And like, I kept like being in the corner, like, is this like a season 5 of Buffy? Like, is this kid not supposed to be here, and we're all pretending that she was because there's gonna be a twist later? Is that what we're doing? Who is this kid? Apparently, the kid is from another one of the noble houses of Orb. They don't establish this. Why they added a little kid character here, I have no idea. There's too many characters already. We didn't need the little kid hanging out with Kigali, but there's a little kid hanging out with Kigali. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's trying to salvage Compass, and like nations are leaving it now because of this big debacle. And I do want to. So I mentioned earlier wanting to talk about Kira's weird bedroom attire with that black outfit with all the buckles on it. So they're in the secret bunker thing, having just survived this ordeal, and they all have these like plain just t-shirts on, like medical kind of outfits, like that they were just in the hospital. And
But like,
uh
you can't blame them, because at that point they just got spanked.
yeah,
Everybody got wrecked.
yeah, everyone was in a rough way, so it makes sense that they were recovering and whatnot. And they're like watching the news to see what's going on in the world, and they're all sitting around this little room doing that. At one point, I think it's during Orphe's little monologue, because it happens like in the background, Kira leaves, gets changed into this outfit,
Into his
and then
bondage outfit, yeah.
into his black outfit with all the buckles on it, which makes me think he went home to get it, because there's like a weird random shot of him like on a beach wearing these clothes, and then he comes back to that scene.
Oh my
And
god.
I want to emphasize, like, he left a scene, changed clothes, and came back to the scene. So it's like a character like going off stage left. They don't change the set dressing at all, and then he comes back.
See,
But it
this
has to have been like hours, right?
this scene is also, this is to me the point where like the movie started to go completely off the rails, arguably during that fight scene. But like, now we get Athrun and Marin here to deliver more exposition.
Yeah, that's right.
And like, like, as I say it out loud, I didn't realize how like conspiracy theory nonsense most of this plot is. But it's like, okay, we already had a false flag attack, but then it's like, well, as it so happens, Lacus's mom was best friends with Queen Aura, who's actually a genetic engineer, and her genetic engineering project was to make super duper pooper scooper coordinators. I think they're called Accords, which
Accords, yes.
as a Nier fan really threw me. I'm not gonna lie. Really, just as a Drakengard fan, I was like, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, so I'm already getting it's like, and they genetically engineered Lacus when she was a baby,
When
so
she was
that
a baby.
so that she could be, so they knew that she would be super charismatic right from the get-go. They always meant for her to be Space Taylor Swift, because they knew people would fall in line behind her, and they genetically engineered her so she is also a super duper pooper scooper best ever coordinator. And she was designed to be Orphe's wife, and that's why Orphe has that weird hypnotic effect on her. And
Yeah.
I'm just like in the theater being like, it is way too late in the movie to be throwing this much shit at me. So
I'm just going to read the line here. Athrun holds a meeting to reveal the Foundation's true objectives, to capture Lacus and use her name to start a war in the name of the Destiny Plan.
Which is an even weirder plan, considering, like, Lacus's big thing was stopping the Destiny plan.
Which she later, like, reiterates. It using the phrase, as I've said before.
Yeah!
So basically in this
It's a
telecast,
stupid plan, Orphe! Yeah.
in this broadcast, Orphe's saying, and we've got Lacus on board with us, and so we are going to use the Requiem cannon on the
Yeah.
moon, and we are going to attack like Moscow. They attack Eurasia's capital for the framed. Basically, they attack it in retaliation for their false flag nuclear attack. They said Eurasia attacked us. We're going to attack Eurasia.
This is some Alex
And
Jones
also
nonsense.
and also make the call to all coordinators, especially you guys over at Zaft, to get back on that train and join our side as coordinators against the normies.
And
Ah,
this is such a, like, and, like, this escalation, like,
it's
it's
quick.
it's way too fast. We have, so in addition to so it was one thing that the Earth Alliance kept a destroy Gundam just in working condition, but
Mhm.
apparently Orphe has had the money and resources to rebuild the Requiem cannon, and also, like, sets up base right next to Messiah Durandal's, like, base. It really,
The ruins of his old base
yeah, the
on an
ruins of
asteroid or something.
Durandal's old base. Yeah, so it's just this very weird, like, oh, okay, so we're just busting out all the, somehow Raul LaCrusade returned.
I mean, there's literally flashbacks to Rao.
Yeah, and
Like in those
that's
vision moments, and Kira's remembering. Like there's just
it.
flashes of him. Really, it's not anything
At,
significant.
at this point, it became clear to me that the the writers had no faith in Orphe as a character, because he's partly the greatest antagonist in all of manga, Griffith from Berserk. And then but then he looks like Raul LaCrusade, but then he has Durandal's plan. So it's like, we don't have anything of his own for this guy. We gotta really cash in on the previous villains, because this guy's got nothing.
Yeah, and that's kind of where it's like a little endless waltz sprinkled in there, right? Where it's I'm the daughter of Tres Kushranada, and that's why people should follow me.
And it's not like Kylo Ren, where I feel like they were trying to make a point of, this is a watered down version of that villain you remember. This really felt like they didn't have a better idea.
Yeah. It definitely has that feel. So to make matters different, this is also the part. This is what I meant earlier when I mentioned the body count, right? Because there are super weapons going off left and right for a good like 10 minutes, wiping out cities. And I think the report on the TV is low, because they're like, oh yeah, just a couple thousand people died. I'm like, dude, millions of people probably died in the last week from this bombardment of different attacks,
And like, it was to the
because these are
point
city
that
destroyers.
there were so many super weapons going off that it kind of undercut what the movie was going for,
Mm-hmm.
because it was having them all go off at once but not letting them have any weight, to the point
Mm-hmm.
that it was just meaningless noise. It was like,
Yeah,
oh, and it's like they did a false flag nuke, and they have Requiem.
and so we used Requiem in retaliation for those nukes. So now that you've already forgotten about the nukes. So speaking of noise, this is where Kira breaks down, and he has himself a little cry, and it's a lot of like just kind of him being mopey.
And
It's a
but it's not just that. It is this scene gives me something that I had wanted from Kira for all of Destiny.
mm-hmm.
We get honest to God Kira flaws that the show doesn't try to make excuses for. Because as Kira starts moping, it's not just, oh, Lacus doesn't want to hang out with me anymore, or oh, I
She's got a
couldn't.
new boyfriend.
She's got a new boyfriend. I can't. I'm not. It's like I'm doing all this fighting, but then it turns into, this is the part that I legitimately sincerely love this scene, is him like screaming, literally screaming at a room full of people who have gathered to help him. I can't count on you because I'm the strongest and I have to be the hero. And Athrun rightfully punches him in the face.
Yeah. Also a
and
part that I always look forward to.
and like they have a fight. Shin tries to intervene and gets punched by both of his older brother figures.
Yeah.
Like, and like
Not bad, but yeah. He wants to, stand up because part of it is Kira is saying how lonely he feels.
mm-hmm.
It's lonely at the top, and Athrun's like, you could ask for help at any time. Look at all these people here that are willing to help you.
Literally everyone in this room loves you, thinks of you as a friend, or looks up to you. And I think Shin is all three at this point.
Yeah.
Like, so like
And it's a pretty solid scene. It's a big culmination of emotions, and then like the solution is kind of a Gurren Lagann approach of, I'm just gonna punch you a bunch until you like get through your head that you don't have to do this alone.
it's frustrating because, yeah, it is full-on toxic masculinity, punch face till one of us passes out. But the emotions are so raw and sincere that I sincerely wish someone would have looked at the script, looked at this scene, and said, this is our movie. We should rebuild the entire movie around this scene. Because for all of its toxic masculinity flaws, this scene is everything. This is someone finally says to Kira, knock it off. People love you. People are trying to help you. Kira has a real flaw of thinking he's better than everyone else and saying he thinks he's better than everyone else.
And therefore has to go it alone. That he's the only one that can do it, not and not from because it comes from a place not necessarily of arrogance, but just of like a belief that it's kind of an altruistic thing, right? Is like, I need to sacrifice like me.
It's martyr complex.
Yes, that's a better way to put it.
It's foolhardy martyr complex. It's I have a family member who died recently who would do this all the time, and it was infuriating. So, I'll freely admit that my enjoyment of that scene might have been informed in part by that. Like, having someone say, people love you, they want to support you, you need to stop doing this.
I love, not to break the tension of the moment, but the description of this in the wiki page. Kira breaks down, and Athrun convinces him to rejoin the fight, which he accepts.
I love how Wikipedia can take literally the best
the
written
most
scene.
important part of
the in my opinion, the only legitimately perfect scene in the entire movie, and make it sound so meaningless.
So what kind of follows is they're like, okay, we're gonna rally. We need to get into space. How do we get into space? Well, the Millennium ship is still here, but we can't have it be that seen as if the
As if Compass is still
as
around.
if Compass is the ones doing this. So
And
what
the
we're going to
audience is
do,
too young to remember the Comet Empire season of Space Battleship Yamato, so we can just steal that whole cloth.
yeah, and so our heroes sneak onto the Millennium ship, which is piloted by, I think it's the same captain from Seed Destiny, the guy, who's a fun character. Him and his EXO are fun characters. Um, they have good
Arthur.
chemistry.
Arthur
Arthur,
was the
that's right.
XO, because he was the XO on the Minerva too, and he's
Yeah,
still just as incompetent as we last saw him. So
yeah, for
it's
fun.
good to know that he's failing upward.
Yeah.
I'm glad to know he's out there failing upward.
So Luna has also been on the Millennium ship, just in tears, thinking that Shin is dead. Because
Mhm.
again, up to this point, everyone thinks that they found the remains of their mobile suits, and there was just a heck of a lot of explosions going on. That the odds of finding the bodies were slim to none. So they take over the ship by pretending that there's a gas leak or something. They sneak on with masks and everything. Shin tries to hold up Luna. She beats the snot out of him for it.
And then when she realizes it's her dumb boyfriend,
She starts slapping him a bunch. It's kind of a sweet scene.
I
Uh,
Shin is absolutely the highlight of the movie for me. I love
mm-hmm.
all of his scenes, and like his interactions with Luna in this are just such a breath of fresh air, especially with how brooding everyone else is being, and these two are just kind of, you know, I feel like they're having their own super robot movie that they didn't tell anyone else about.
Yeah. So they take over the ship, and the captain's like, "Oh yeah, Muru, you can here's a seat. I'll be the XO, and Arthur, you can sit there, I guess." And so
Arthur,
they
you're
they
not going to be any more effective than you were in a position of power, so just fine.
it's at this point that Orphe threatens to attack Orb with this giant with Requiem, and there's like you've got 10 minutes to evacuate, or it was like join our side or
Yeah,
something.
I don't.
There's a big join our side. There's like a huge coup d'état that happens with Jerka and what's
Yeah,
his name?
yeah. Meanwhile, up in Zaft, again, too many factions.
Too many factions.
Because it wouldn't be a Seed story unless Zaft became the bad guys, even if they weren't portrayed as such earlier in the story. So, Zaft has a military coup led by a mustachioed man we've never seen before, and Diarca and Izak like take the leadership somewhere safe. Um, so
They,
good for them.
it's weird how much screen time those two guys get.
Oh, she.
Especially considering you could wholesale cut out all of the Zaf stuff and you would lose nothing from this story.
Literally. Oh, but you had to not just have them, but Shiho Hanenfuss has to appear on screen and not speak again because
Yeah.
that's the joke.
So so yeah, there's a big to do. Oh, Requiem is gonna shoot Orb. Kigali's trying to evacuate, and so meanwhile they already know that the Millennium is taking off, and so what happens next is that Kira gets on the broadcast and says, "Hey, I live, bleep," and because credit where it's due, like Shura thought that he killed him.
Yeah,
Uh,
Shura was very sure of himself.
he was very sure that there's no way this guy could have lived. He's got to be dead. Uh, Kira, the stories of my death have been widely exaggerated again. And so they get Requiem to target the ship instead, and they manage to Muru in her captainy way manages to get them into space and on target to go take out Requiem.
Da-na-na. Who's that Xeon mech? Da-na-na.
It's Homewrecker! Oh, we forgot one other thing that before that happened that I thought was extremely funny in terms of undercutting the stress of the situation.
Yes.
After, like, when they decide to rally their forces to launch into space, you forgot but what are we gonna do? We don't have any halfway decent mobile suits.
Oh, yeah.
And then we get the reveal that, oh, don't worry, in a basement in Orb, we actually not only restored, but upgraded all of your most iconic suits from Destiny. So the Strike Freedom, the Destiny, and the Impulse are not just intact and ready to go, but have new, better weapons than the last time we saw them.
I won't lie. It took me a while to realize like what was happening in that scene because it was a lot of flashing and you're trying to read. I legitimately liked that part where it's, hey, here's all of your old mobile suits that we've been keeping in storage because you've had newer, better ones, kind of thing. But those got trashed.
I was sentimental about it, but I was also kind of like, this is so contrived. But also...
It's kind of the Endless Waltz flavor again.
But even that contrivance is a little bit undercut by Shin's sheer excitement. Like,
yeah, Shin was so excited to get his old mobile suit back.
Seeing his beloved Destiny Gundam back, just like...
Yeah. His joy in... like where he gets to shine in lots of really fun ways, and one of them is his elation of getting his old suit back and using that in the coming fight.
Again,
Luna also gets Zaku, or no, she got the Impulse.
She gets the Impulse back, and it has better color schemes this time, so that's fun.
Yeah. Because they gave her Gelgoog to the last Black TriStar.
yeah. That's all right. She did well with the Impulse.
Yeah.
Kinda. Yeah, so now we gotta go have a big...
So we're in space now.
You gotta do a space scene. But as we lead up to this battle, we do get a little bit of our boy Orphe being a total creep and being like, you guys thought I just... he's like, wait a minute, there's one more Griffith thing I haven't done yet. And he tries to force himself on Lacus, which... does not work, thankfully, and did not get as gross as I was worried it would get.
Yeah, it did have the potential to get explicit, and it did not, which I appreciated.
Remember that since Seed Destiny, Fukuda worked on Cross Angie, so I could not rule out that he was gonna go there.
It's kind of been that thing with some more contemporary shows where more explicit scenes involving sexual assault have been, I don't know if I want to say more common, if that's the right way to phrase it, but there's been some high profile series that have used this subject in ways that I kind of argue against. I don't think it served the purpose, or it was not handled in the way that's the most respectful to the situation.
I'm a fan of Berserk. And so I'm sorry I keep bringing up... I've been brought up Berserk way more than I thought I would have.
Right?
So take it from me as a fan of Berserk. I am picky about when people use that as a plot point. Mm-hmm. I want you to think about the weight of what I just said.
Yeah. And but the big thing, they do treat it as a power thing. Like they recognize the dynamic that kind of situation it
Mm-hmm.
revolves around, and it is the Orphe trying to assert his control and his power and his will over Lacus, to
And he
which
can't wrap
she's
his head around the idea that eugenics mom said we were meant to be together. Why don't you like me?
she does have a pretty decent line in response to one of his things, like why do you need Kira, uh, you know, when you've got me, kind of thing. And it was, let's see if I can get it right. It's like, you don't uh, love the ones you need the ones you love.
it,
And
it, I
I
really
thought that
did
kind of
like
resonated.
I did appreciate that argument of like love is just it's a feeling that you have. You love someone because you love them, not because they were meant for you or because you were
Or they can
genetically
give you
engineered.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Um Admittedly, I think this theme is a little bit undercut by the fact that Kira is the ultimate coordinator and now Lacus is the ultimate super duper accord. So it
So now he's just the penultimate coordinator.
yeah, well, it's not that so much as like as I feel like the message is undercut a bit by the quarterback and the head cheerleader vibe that I get from it. It's like,
That's fair.
well, it's like why I hate Superman Wonder Woman pairings. It's like it's such a lazy. I
Mm.
don't the dynamics don't make sense to me, and I didn't like. I felt like that undercut what would have been a strong scene. Oh,
Yes,
but blue haired girl is still so upset.
blue-haired girl is upset by a lot of this, mostly because she's in the room during all these conversations where Orphe is just completely like neglecting her and talking about how, Lacus, you're the one for me, and blue-haired girl is just like, I wanted to be the one for you because I care about you. And
Oh,
Lacus is like, she really cares about you. Like,
like
you're if that's what you're looking for, it's like it's right over there.
on the other hand,
Looking for someone to love you.
points against Lacus. Maybe don't direct a guy who has physically assaulted you toward another woman. Like, I don't think that that's a great decision.
You mentioned in online somewhere, like, this show doesn't even pass the Bechdel test. So, despite having what, like almost a dozen like speaking female characters.
I don't think a single woman in this movie is motivated by anything other than who they're going to bonk. Maybe Murder Girl in the Black Knights, whose name I
Yeah,
don't know.
she didn't seem motivated by anything like that. She just kind of wanted to kill people,
But
which
other than
is
that,
kind of its own problem.
every woman whose name I know, their motivation is based entirely on who is their boyfriend or who do they want to sleep with at that time. Like that is the motivation of every woman in this movie. And it's especially after G Witch. This is really hard. I don't
All
like
right.
it.
So we're coming up close to the time of the movie. So to
Big
to to cut things ahead, our team splits up, gang, and because some go to destroy the Requiem cannon and some go to
rescue
save
Lacus.
Lacus,
Yeah.
and they do so in kind of fun, dynamic ways. Of we have a little misdirection where. Um, is it the strike freedom or is it just the freedom?
Athens and the Strike Freedom, yeah.
It is the strike freedom. I'm going to get all these mobile suits wrong because they all have the same name but different words in the front or the end of them.
That's
Uh,
fair.
and so they draw out the, I think, Shura to go fight Athrun, and or turns out to be Athrun, while Kira infiltrates the base to go save Lacus.
There's
Bim Bam
Haros
Boom.
involved. There's
There's
like
Haros involved.
gas attack Haros.
They gas the whole place. to knock everyone out. They rescue Lacus, and then they get back in their respective suits. I'm shortening this significantly. Blue hair girl tried to stop him, but then gets
Fails
depressed.
miserably. Yeah, it's
a space battle has been going, like the climax of this starts like at least 10 minutes of this is this gigantic space battle where we have the Millennium just taking on all sorts of different ships, and the meteors show up with Derka and
Isaac.
Izak, and they take out the Zaft coup d'etat guy, and uh, there's a lot of stuff just happens. Like it starts off well. Like I remember watching it. Like the impression I was getting, I'm like, man, the Seed series always did the space battles very well. Like the ship to ship combat was always very intense, and
And then as you thought that, a monkey paw like curled its finger.
and then it keeps happening. And I start like questioning, it's like, how can one ship just command, like just decimate all of these other ones who seem to have the same amount of firepower, but they can't focus it at main ship.
Again,
Uh,
the kids in the audience are too young to remember Space Battleship Yamato, so it's okay. They won't notice how derivative.
I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit to kind of sum up some of the other space combat. So like Mulaflaga,
He's here
gets
too.
he's here too. He gets into it
The
was
Akatsuki.
the Akatsuki. I was like, it's the gold plated one because it was the big thing that could reflect all sorts of lasers, and so his job is to sit in front of the Requiem cannon and destroy the mirror that helps reflect it back at Earth. So he does that, and then he turns around and just hunkers down behind his shield and gets blasted by the cannon.
And then says, I make the impossible possible, and the audience says, oh, he said the thing!
He specifically says, it's not easy making the impossible possible.
Oh, okay. Because he did.
And
But he did the thing
I
again.
won't lie, there were some cheers in my theater. Some people got a real kick out of that.
My theater didn't. I'm gonna be honest with you, this movie treats the Akatsuki the way I treat my high-grade Akatsuki, in that I also forget that I have it in my closet, and I'm like, oh, hey, I did have this the whole time!
and so to highlight some of the other fights, and we'll get to Kira's and the Lacus
We
stuff
will
in a minute.
have a special spot for that, yes.
We'll have a special spot for that. So the other fights that are happening at this time is Shin. We'll do the small ones. Luna and Agnes are duking it out. With Agnes asking Luna why she's dating that dog face. He stinks and he's a loser. And Luna's like, I love him?
But he's my loser.
He's my loser. Like, you are really confused about things.
Agnes, have you been watching the movie? He's the best thing going on in this thing.
Mm-hmm. And so they're fighting. Ultimately, their fight ends where Agnes is sitting there crying on the moon.
Luna, the tables have turned. Luna sent someone else to cry on the moon.
Yeah, exactly. Like that literally went through my mind as that scene played out.
Like, how the turns have tables.
So Atherin and Shin are facing off against the Black Knights, and
they're like having a show off fight between who can do the dumber bullshit during this final fight, frankly.
So a key part of it is that it's revealed that the Black Knights have like this telepathic ability to make you see things that aren't there, right? So how do our heroes combat this? Shin's got to be kind of my favorite
Oh, I
in
love
that
this.
he enters his like their telepathic abilities, like to make you, they want to try to make him like relive his worst nightmare or something like that. And so he kind of goes into coordinator mode, like seed mode activates, and his eyes go blank. And our villains, our Black Knight heroes, like they telepathically see this ginormous projection of a naked Stella, who then like
Why? We
who
don't.
who I'm trying to remember. I think she like winks at Shin or something like that, and then like turns into like some kind of crazy goblin-y monster,
Uh-huh.
and all the Black Knights are like ah.
And
That's the
this is
sound they make.
followed by my other favorite reveal of, okay, that weird naked girl ghost was bad, but what if we read his thoughts? And Shin pulls my favorite move ever, the Philip J. Fry, you can't read my thoughts if I don't think.
That is probably my favorite moment of just kind of like joy and fun of this movie was that, like, and then Shin proceeds to just go to town in all of his signature kind of ways, but
He has
I had a lot of
shadow
fun.
clones now?
Yeah,
He
I
has
think that was, I don't know if those shadow clones were real. Like
I see
I
that drove me nuts of just how much of the final battle is they can do that now.
yeah,
It's nothing that they established or built up to, it's just they can do that now. Shin has
yeah.
shadow clones.
Shin has shadow clones, and it helps him one up all these guys. I think he takes out 4 of them.
He takes
Uh,
out everyone but Shura. Yeah.
Everyone but Shura and the girl, because the girl gets taken out by Black Tri-Star Lady,
Oh yeah, that's right.
because we had to have the women fight each other.
Yeah, redhead fight. Yeah.
Yeah. Because she needed revenge for her men.
Um
And so Atherin's fight against Shura.
love the I unironically loved how stupid this was.
So if you thought Shin's was weird, so he tries to do the same kind of ninjutsu on Atherin, right? He tries to telepathically read where his moves are, and he's like, I can't get a read on him, and it's like, I'm gonna see what his thoughts are, and it's of a naked Kigali sitting in the sun, and the guy's like, what's going on? And
Atherin is
goes for a
built
stab.
different.
goes for the stab, and Atherin gets, disables him and everything, and it's then revealed he's thinking about Kigali, and Kigali is remotely piloting his suit. That's how he breaks the mental block, because he's not actually doing anything. Kigali's doing all the work back on Earth.
This is literally how a stand fight from JoJo Part 3 goes, by the way. I'm just like, this movie is so derivative.
And Kigali hears Shira's comments about, what are those dirty thoughts that you're she's like, what are you thinking about?
So
So
yeah,
Atherin defeats Shira.
Oh, you forgot the best part. That
What?
Atherin hit a whole ass Justice Gundam inside a Zagak.
Oh yeah, I forgot. So the Zagak parts break off, and there's his his justice.
And he defeats Shura with a beam saber in the Justice's forehead. I cannot make this up.
Yep.
So what's our final duel for our boy, for Kira?
For Kira, so he's facing off against Orphe and blue-haired girl. Also, the Millennium rams the evil spaceship that has the Queen on it, Queen Aura, and that blows up, and they're fine.
But Orphe has this shiny,
like a white knight.
It's like a
the
white
aesthetic.
knight with like Sinanju livery on it. Like,
yeah. So Kira's fighting against him, and it's mostly a yelling fight.
But it's a funnels and yelling fight because they
It's a
both have
funnels and
like
yelling fight.
funnels.
Yeah.
And they're like shooting at each other. But then, just when it looks like Kira's gonna get beat, Lacus,
his suit is out of power.
His suit is out of power. He loses his funnels. His wings are wrecked. Suddenly, Lacus shows up and picks a really weird time to show off her Darling in the Franxx cosplay.
Like so every other character, every other woman in the show that is in combat, whether that's in a mobile suit or on the bridge of a spaceship, is wearing body armor. Like protective gear for space and combat.
Yeah, a normal suit as they're
often called.
In Gundam,
and even the pilot suits are a little more slimming, you might say, but they're often like bulky with the helmets. But they're a uniform. They look I don't know if I would say practical, but they look like they serve a purpose.
They've got shoulder pads at least.
It's got shoulder pads,
but they got shoulder pads.
Yeah. So
Lacus has a skin tight, like 02 style Darling in the Franxx like plug suit, complete with womb tattoo markings on it.
And camera angles to boot.
Yeah, and Darling in the Franxx camera angles too, yeah. So like, and little wings are on it for some reason. So anyway, she shows up with a brand new backpack to plug into the Strike Freedom. Now it's got gold wings.
Oh, it's got gold wings.
And a katana.
I think it's got two. Well, he still has his original beam saber.
Yeah, he's got a beam saber and a katana. Yeah. And apparently Lacus can just use this new thing to overwrite all the funnels, so I think
it's like a weird electromagnetic pulse, because it doesn't override them, it shuts them down.
Okay, yeah.
Which I feel like could have been emphasized a little bit more, that like when they're together, like their weapon is to remove, like completely disable and remove the weaponry, and it's not that I beat you with my weapon and destroyed your weapon. It's a very passive effect, I guess.
Yeah.
is what I get it. You're not. It's not Kira cutting the limbs off these mobile suits. It's I generate an aura that removes. As Gundam Wing would say, I removed your will to fight.
That said,
doesn't actually remove the will of the fight for.
Does not remove the will of the fight for Orphe at all. They still have a big old,
They still have their big old sword fight. Lacus joins Kira in the cockpit.
Mm-hmm. And she gets there's like a, that.
About some bouncy scene.
Very bouncy.
Anyway, they have a tete-a-tete with Orphe and blue-haired girl, and love will triumph, and so Kira stabs him with a sword.
Like love does.
Like love does.
And again, like it's like blue-haired girl is tragic and pathetic in that she keeps barking up the wrong tree. But like if the movie, I feel kind of bad for her, but if the movie wants me to feel bad for Orphe at this point after making him a literal predator, I'm like, no. Movie.
Orphe doesn't doesn't even make that turn to recognize blue-haired girl as a person that cares about him. Like, Before this scene, like he had backhanded her for losing Lacus. Uh, Gosh, there's a lot that happens in like this last half hour, and
I feel like a more focused plot would have made Kira and Orphe a better dramatic foils to each other.
yeah, there was not exactly, they were not strong foils for one another. This isn't, as much as we compared to Char's counterattack, this is not Amuro and Char butting heads on ideals and history and everything like that. This is just two dudes
For as
where
much
one
as I
is
was making Dune jokes earlier, this isn't Paul and Fade Routha at the end of part 2. This is like
yeah,
this is
yeah. And yeah, it's probably one of the bigger shortcomings is Orphe is just not strong enough of an antagonist and doesn't have his own ideas that he brings to the table. It is retreading the Durandal Destiny plan, uh, and we're using just giant space lasers to kill people.
Yeah, he's even using other people's giant space lasers. Like
He's very derivative, um, which I
wi-
feel like was a plot for Rao. Rao plot point. I'm derivative of the
I,
derivative one.
and like this is such a and weirdest of all, the movie just abruptly kind of stops.
It
Like
does
they
kind of end.
they beat Orphe, he explodes, Seesaw starts playing. We get some epilogues of like the characters like happily, together. Like it's implied that Athrun might be starting things up with Kigali again. That'd be nice.
Yeah,
I'd
uh,
like that.
at least we get that OTP.
We get that
One
OTP
true
back.
pair.
Yeah, we get Luna still willing to extend a hand to Agnes on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that's nice of her, I guess.
Lacus
Um,
and Kira descend to Earth on a beach where they finally share a kiss, naked.
uh-huh. Naked. Oh, you forgot Maru literally dry humps Mulaflaga on the bridge of the ship.
She does. They
She
they get
does. We
some very public displays of affection in
my
front
my
of the bridge crew.
my entire row broke out laughing in the theater because it is like full on PDA. Like I would not be comfortable in that
like
room.
like like
Like
it's not just like little kisses. It's mouth to mouth resuscitation.
mouth to
Um,
mouth, she literally jumps, spreads her legs, and like it's a
I
lot.
I always have like a soft spot for those two though because they're like adults.
Oh yeah, no, I have a soft spot. I like seeing them together. Actually,
They have good chemistry.
in a way though, that almost made it weirder for me because Maru is like in her early 30s and she's acting like a horny 16-year-old. Like, I'm sorry,
Well,
uh
she's surrounded by them,
that's
so
also true. That's a fair point.
these kids don't age, man. They're the same age they were years before.
Da-na-na. Who's that Xeon mech? Da-na-na.
It's a gawk.
Justice!
So yeah, it's all kind of wrapped up at the end. The status quo really hasn't changed much. The biggest thing being we lost the Archangel.
We lost the Archangel. If you were a named character from Seed or Destiny, other than those two black tri-stars, you're safe. Like,
Yeah, and you got screen time. Like if you were amongst the cast of these episodes, 50 episodes per season, you were in this movie somewhere.
I've mostly moved away from doing like full movie summaries, but I'm
Mhm.
glad we did it with this one because it is the style we used for the other movies, and I feel like it was right to
It
to
it
bring it full
it,
circle.
it does kind of highlight how chaotic this movie was too. Um, to
There's
revisit
too
it,
much going on.
there it is. there's too much going on with this movie. There's definitely areas that it could have been like I said, the whole Zaft coup d'etat sequence, which takes, it doesn't take up a lot, but it does take up screen time.
It takes up screen time, and
and
it
adds
makes things.
characters that we don't have any real. If Isaac and Dierka had a cameo where it was, hey, look, they're security guards over there, just like
Yeah,
the last cameo we had of them. Like, I'm cool with that, but they had like active roles to play in the conflict, and it
and
just pulled away because we have a good probably 20 or 30 characters with significant like screen time.
Miles from Casual Trek, another big Gundam fan, was in the theater with me. And at one point, with how many characters there were, he leaned into me and said, "This is why Camille and Judo aren't in Char's counterattack." You like, when you have
Yeah.
this many characters, I think it detracts from the quality of the story that you can tell, because I think there were just too many. There it because in a way, I feel like we're underselling how much, because everyone appears in this. Even if you died in Seed or Seed Destiny, you're still in this, believe it or not. Mir Campbell is still in this movie. Nico Amalfi is still in this movie.
He likes to play piano.
Nataro Badgerol is still in this movie. There's two, like,
I
it's
was wondering
not
if you guys saw the Mir cameo.
Reina was part of who helped me to, recognize my crappy takes on Mir. Reina has cosplayed Mir. It was really fun. Patreon goal, by the way, if you guys get me up to like $100 a month, I will cosplay Agnes. I will cosplay Agnes and I will do a video. I'm promising that right now. Yeah, like, I really think this movie needed to pare down its cast. I think it needed a more intimate. I think it needed a smaller cast. I think it needed a smaller conflict. Like,
Yeah,
I think a more intimate, like, setting would have worked.
yeah, because the story they wanted to really tell and highlight was the relationship between Kira's struggles with uh the duality of his nature, where he's fighting he's fighting for peace, but he's having to do that through violence,
Yes.
and trying to balance and resolve that kind of tension. I think it is a compelling story in itself, and coupling that with Lacus also kind of struggling to uh, be find ways to support Kira and their mission of peace.
And
Um,
frankly, I think there's a really interesting angle on Lacus that none of the series have taken, of like where her mindset must be from. Again, I keep doing the Swiftie references, but she has gone from being Taylor Swift to being like the most important political figure alive. Like, that's gotta weigh heavily on her. Like, she
Again, because
doesn't.
they're 16 or something.
But yeah, but like, even that feels like worth noting. Lacus doesn't
Mhm.
sing in this movie.
No, she doesn't.
Something that like defined her character, something that she takes a lot of pleasure in. Like, I feel like if we had more time to spend with the characters, we could focus on, like, Kira wants a peaceful world but is doing it through violence. Lacus has apparently given up something that gives her a lot of fulfillment
Mm-hmm.
for the bigger picture. I would have liked that focused on a little bit more.
Yeah,
Um
and you could still do that with giant robots. I mean, Macross has been doing it for years. Uh,
you could do it, but like, even like, honestly, we didn't need world-ending super weapons.
we
We
at most one. Like we again, the death toll from these attacks is enormous, enormous, and it's absurd that like how small of a footprint it makes in the plot. Uh, it's an instigating event, but like you know,
Like, I know
we
it's
we
not
we just move on.
I know it's not my job I'm not getting paid to do this, and I'm not a screenwriter. I'm not going to pretend that I'm a better writer and to say that
hmm
my ideas are inherently better. But imagine a version of this movie, again, pared down to going to that scene of Athrun yelling at Kira and punching him about how people love him and support him. Imagine a movie built on that. Not a world destroying weapon, a we are still in the aftermath of Seed Destiny. We're still doing the idea of Kira and Lacus have been trying to appeal to humanity's better angels, and it sure looks
hmm
like people don't want to hear that. And maybe it's not a world destroying mission. Maybe it's just one country that has an asshole like Orphe in it, and you make Orphe more of an actual an actual foil to Kira Yamato. Have
hmm
them play
So,
off
so
of each other.
kind of Shin kind of ran into that story arc too, right? Where it was, um, the violence is what you know as a child had a huge impact on him, and that kind of drove him to further violence. Um, so it makes me think of uh, the Legend of Korra,
Yeah,
specifically
yeah.
season 4. Season 4, Korra's antagonist is someone named Kuvira. I won't spoil the whole show, but a big component of it is how similar the two characters are, except for a slight difference in perspective on how to resolve a conflict. And I think that could have been something similar to that, a strong foil for Kira. The sad part is you already have Athrun and you already have Shin.
Yeah, that's true. You already have two very strong foils for Kira, and one of them was painfully underused. And
hmm
thankfully, they gave him stuff to do in this movie, but it wasn't from that foil to Kira.
Yeah,
But, like, I don't know. Like, I guess something. Maybe not even. Maybe it doesn't need to. Maybe we don't need there to be a foil for Kira. Maybe the conflict should be a thing that happens over there and make this more of a character study about our team and not
hmm
come up with a bunch of weirdo black knights that aren't really gonna matter and who you're going to forget about a week after watching this movie. I
yeah, yeah. It's we kind of had to split the difference of the strong character focus and the team focus, and I think you're right. Like, I think focusing on the a team thing where it is their growth as working together and whatnot. I think that would have been pretty compelling because we didn't get that in See Destiny, except for like the epilogue,
yeah,
where it's
what
like,
if
hey, we'll be friends now.
yeah, what if you had like a smaller scale a smaller scale conflict, and instead of maybe you're right, maybe even better than giving Kira a foil, maybe it's just maybe it is just a story where it's Kira and Shin feeling each other out and figuring out how to be friends after their really
Yeah,
ugly like meeting. And
yeah.
I feel like that would be a really I think that there would be something really cool about, like, if you focused on this small mobile suit team and Kira is in this place where he doesn't know what to do and he feels like he can't relate to Lacus, and then there's this man who's only a little bit younger than him but wants his approval, him to see him as an equal, but also sees that Shin and Luna have this like really healthy dynamic and maybe recognizes that he can learn a little bit from this dumb puppy, and like really you like maybe this a more intimate thing, and maybe like culminate with like a reunion with Athrun where it's Kira getting his best friend lover back, and Shin getting the closest thing he's ever had to an older brother. Like, I feel like there's a real camaraderie, like a really, there's a positive masculinity that you could explore with that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's too many characters to do that. You can't.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
So all that said, what would you say like your overall thoughts are? Did you like the movie? Did you? Does it had potential but didn't meet it? Is it like, where are you kind of landing on it?
I
You
didn't
don't.
like the movie. I thought it was, I legitimately, I had a really fun time at the movie,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that was in spite of the movie, not because of the movie. There was just,
That's fair.
the plot was too much of a mess. I think this movie hated women, like, in ways that I just, especially after Witch from Mercury,
Mm-hmm.
which was so driven by the, young girls and their, like, and their motivations and their politicking. And then I get this where everyone is just about who they want to sleep with guys, like that's their thing. Agnes is the, like, the standard bearer of this, but counterintuitively, I want to defend her just because I know Fukuda hates her, which makes me want to, like, be like, hey, leave her alone. She's just an awful little tramp with a gyan, and I love her to the moon. That she's crying on.
Yep.
So yeah, I wanted, especially with how much I other Gundam fans enjoyed this, I really wanted to like it. I didn't. I thought it was pretty bad. How did you feel about this?
So I, in a similar way, I had a really fun time watching this movie in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I recognize how nonsensical and convoluted and complicated the plot is, and that does detract a little bit from me. But
Okay.
I also remember watching the movie versions of Gundam Seed Destiny and how convoluted those were when they had to smash everything together. So that's a big aspect to me, and I think a lot of people are drawing that kind of enjoyment from that experience. This feels like exactly like one of those. This feels like a season of Gundam, the next Gundam Seed season,
Mm-hmm.
crammed into one movie compilation. The downside of that is they're trying to cover up a whole lot, uh, and just have not a big window to do it. But I wholly recognize, you and I, we grew up in with Gundam in the 90s, right?
Uh-huh.
Uh,
The
and
Black Sheep
so
era, as I call it.
so Gundam Wing, G Gundam, the original mobile suit are, and for me, even the original mobile suit came later. Uh,
I think I
but
lent that one to you, if I'm
I
not
think so. I
mistaken.
think that's how
Yeah.
I probably first watched it. 08th MS team. Like,
Uh-huh.
these are the entries that we had, um, to kind of get us into Gundam, right? And so when things like Char's Counterattack, Gundam The Origin, Endless Waltz, like when these big events happen, like we're drawn to them when we love them.
Right,
And
right.
Endless Waltz is a mess. uh, and even Char's Counterattack, I feel like I have criticisms for it in that, uh, in ways that maybe it's because I came to the original Gundam a little bit later. I didn't have that, um, necessarily to draw upon, so I see things just a little differently.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this movie is right at home with the expectations of what the audience that grew up watching Gundam Seed as their first Gundam and Gundam Seed Destiny as they were maturing. Like, I feel like this is right at home for that audience, and
Yeah.
it hits on all those classic beats for them, beyond just the all the classic like attacks and everything like that. We got some real solid character highlight reels, you might say, that kind of again kind of bring back that nostalgia of like how neat some of these characters are, and what originally drew us to them in the first place. Like we mentioned earlier, the scene with Luna Maria shooting down nuclear missiles, and the struggle there. The scenes with Shin, being able to uh, really
Being a goofy
win.
little guy.
To
Yeah.
be a goofy little guy and to win. He didn't get to win as much at the later half of Gundam Seed Destiny. Um, and just kind of that stuff. Like it and and the super weapons and the crazy space battles and just the absurdity, the melodrama around the characters. Like all emotions are just cranked up to an absurd level that has that kind of classic teenage feel. So I feel like that's what really
That's
resonates
fair.
with people. Um,
Yeah. No, I that does make sense.
and
I
and
sorry, go
and
ahead.
whether or not, I guess I'll say whether or not that's still uh, is true for those people, because again it's been a long time, but the show feels like it is coming right off the end of Gundam Seed Destiny. Like you said earlier, if you watched it back to back, it would be a natural flow. That said, times have changed.
Yeah, and
uh,
the gender politics are also
Not
feel
great.
like they're from 20 years ago, and I didn't love I it's funny you mentioned Endless Waltz, and one of the
Hmm.
things I always bring up with Endless Waltz is that one of the reasons that I like it is all of the all of Gundam Wing and its glorious stupidity
Hmm.
without any of the downtime for it to so it's just
To be navel
Gundam
gazing.
Wing. Yeah, to do any navel gazing, so it's just Gundam Wing on high octane stupidity. So it's all
Hmm.
the parts of Gundam Wing I like in like an hour and a half. Like,
You're in and out.
yeah, and I guess yeah, I
But
don't
it's perfectly, I think it's perfectly reasonable that uh to have kind of these mixed emotions about this, and I think it's you know it's as the folks on the We Hate Movies podcast say, it's okay to like a movie. It's also
it
okay to
is
not like a movie.
a-okay to like a movie.
And we are not by any means knocking you if you do love this movie. Like I said, I think there are a lot of things to get behind. I think it is doing gangbusters for the bottom line. So I mean that says something.
If
Um,
anyone wants to get me an Immortal Justice or Gelgoog Menace model kit, hit me up. Sorry, that's
but
uh,
uh,
I
but
love
yeah.
those.
So my final thoughts are, I thought it was a fun time, uh, and it lent itself into that absurdity that I've come to enjoy about the Gundam Seed franchise. It is its own flavor compared to all the other Gundam franchises. Uh,
It is undeniably this is a Gundam Seed movie. It is definitely if you weren't on board for Gundam Seed earlier, this isn't gonna do anything to change your mind on that.
yeah.
If you thought Destiny was pretty bad, um, well, some of your problems are going to be addressed, so that's something. But
Yeah.
uh, I don't know. It was incredibly stupid. I did have a good time. I'll probably share some pictures. I dressed as Lacus
Hmm.
for the debut because I was actually originally going to dress as Luna, but I misplaced my Zaft coat. So, but yeah, so I went as Lacus to the theater. That was a whole lot of fun. No
I
one
will say.
recognized me, but that's all right.
So I know it goes to the classic art style, but I don't remember them all having so much hair covering their eyes. Is that new? Like I
I
feel like people couldn't see. Like
that
Lacus couldn't see.
I didn't that didn't really click with me. The lips did bother me a lot.
The lips were a
Um
little.
Everyone
Anyway,
still looks dangerously underweight. Uh
yeah, they're
so
children.
all those years ago, we talked about what the future of Gundam was
Hmm.
looking like, and I think it's kind of poetic and beautiful that we are in almost the opposite of that place that we were in all those years ago.
Yeah, for real.
And maybe maybe also kind of to refute closeted Cele and baby Brian, about like so doom and gloom about like the future of this thing that we like, because
Yeah.
it
No,
has been
I.
a pretty cool time to be a Gundam fan again. And
Hmm.
yeah, I'm not excited for Requiem for Vengeance, and this didn't really work for me as well as it seems like it worked for a lot of other people, but
Hmm.
you know what? Witch from Mercury brought in a lot of new people who are really excited about this.
Yeah,
Um
and yeah, the health of the Gundam franchise overall. If I recall correct, don't we still have like 3 movies coming out? Like
we've got
of
we've got Hathaway parts 2 and 3 are still
mhm.
happening.
We got
Um
the Reckon in G has a movie coming out still, I think.
those are done in Japan, but we can I'm hoping they'll
Oh, they
get
are.
a
They have
yeah.
been made.
Yeah. I did watch those, by the way, or I watched the first 3. Um
Oh
Speaking
wow.
of the wonder of a second draft, Tomino giving that another pass, like re-editing the TV show into 5 movies, at least the first 3, really good. Like
Huh.
I actually sincerely enjoyed them. I like Bellry a lot as a character now. I think he
Hmm.
works. Yeah, no, it's
Nice.
I
I'll have
think
to.
I think Tomino just needed a second pass. Um
That's fair.
yeah, we've got that to look forward to. I don't know if it's still. See, I'm wondering if it got eaten up by Requiem for Vengeance, but the word was there was a live action project being directed by Adam Wingard, which
Mm.
could
Oh
go
yeah,
either
yeah. That's right.
which could go either way, because on one hand he directed Netflix Death Note, which isn't great. Okay, I think it's great, but it's not a good Death Note movie, if that makes sense. And but on the other hand, he also directed the last 2 Godzilla Kong movies, which were incredibly stupid but incredibly fun.
Hmm.
So it could go either way
Yeah.
for that guy.
So like I just popped open like the Gundam list of like movie stuff. Like you also had the Kookaroos Doan's Island had come out a couple of years back.
That
Build
sounds
Fighters is still like had a whole bunch of stuff since we stopped doing recordings about them.
and there's
Um,
a new Breaker game, which
yeah.
is very much derivative of the Build Fighter series, because
Hmm.
yeah,
Gundam
um,
San got
got
got a.
animated, and it
Granted,
got
that
a
happened a while ago,
US.
but
That happened a while ago, but it got a US release. Maybe pick it up while you still can, because Crunchyroll kind of suck and they bought out Nozomi.
yeah, that
um,
that part of the current state of anime is not the greatest.
yeah,
But
the I'm excited for the future of Gundam. I'm not excited for the future of the American anime industry, because it's basically run by uh 4 groups, and I trust all of one of them. It's Discotheque. It's the one run by Justin Savakis. That's the good one. But that doesn't. But of course, that doesn't stop me from being a physical media collecting gremlin because you never know when things are going to disappear. Hell, we're talking about Gundam Seed. The only version of Gundam Seed you can watch on Crunchyroll or on the Gundam YouTube channel is the
HD
the
remaster.
HD remaster. And so, like, if you want the original version as it aired in 2001 or 2006, respectively, uh, you gotta,
Gotta track down those DVDs.
yeah, if you don't have the Bandai DVDs, the only other option was, I think they were included in the limited edition box sets, but, I don't know if you guys figured this out, but I'm not going to spend $200 on a Gundam Seed Blu-ray. That ain't me. That ain't me.
Not anymore.
I did that for Evangelion. I'm not doing that for Gundam Seed. But like even on that note, like Evangelion and Gundam Seed now have that in common. The dub that I grew up with isn't available anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, that's weird. That's actually part of why I didn't watch the dub of this movie, was that it's nothing against the new cast. I've met some of the actors. They're really sweet people. Stephanie Shea, who plays Lacus and also directed, lovely human being. I'm used to Chantel Strand. It's nothing against her. It's yeah.
But yeah, so hey, let us know what you thought about the movie. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if there were things that you really enjoyed, or obviously we missed that, like our synopsis was not the straightest shot through the plot, but the plot itself jumps a lot.
The plot itself is not any more well organized, to be fair.
So, but yeah, now that we've gone on longer than the movie,
maybe I'll chop this up. I'll do interstitials or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but I'll leave that up to you. But hey, it was great coming
I'm
back
so
together.
glad we got to do this.
Yeah.
Like you said before, so if anyone in the comments wants to hear Arcemise and I rap about G-Witch, just let us know, because we'll take an excuse to rewatch it.
Yeah, perfect.
It was so good to have you back. Arcemise, where can people follow your other stuff?
Oh gosh.
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to think. So
plug your shows.
I do have 2 podcasts that I do.
Okay.
One of which is related to Giant Robots, which is Mobile Armor Radio. We
Excellent
do
name.
a once monthly podcast talking about all sorts of giant mecha shows, games, a lot of BattleTech stuff, a lot of Transformers stuff on it as well. It's a good time. My part of it is usually focused on the anime side.
You're their resident weeb, so it's
yeah,
important.
pretty much. Yeah. And then I also do a podcast called Dead Zone the Podcast, which is centered around a tabletop game from Mantic Games, and it's one of my favorite tabletop games. If you played like the 40K stuff or something on that line, it's a tight little skirmish game. Throwing d8s, it's a whole lot of fun. I have customized the mechs in there. They kind of look like the APUs in Avatar. I have made Gundam versions of them.
And frankly, like, your excitement over those games is infectious. Like, I've been with you in game rooms where you have gotten me really excited about games that I didn't even know that I would care about. So, like, definitely worth listening to.
Yeah, it's a really fun game, and obviously I've been doing that podcast for 5 years. I think time flies. We're on 5th season anyway. But yeah, so those are the 2 most public places you can find me. these days. So,
And if you
Podbean.
like, oh yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's all right. It's Podbean and YouTube, and then some Facebook groups related to that.
And if you like what I'm doing here, please hit that like button, subscribe. Maybe go back if you haven't heard what we had to say about Gundam Seed Destiny. Listen to that playlist. Know that I don't stand by any of the awful things I say about Mir Campbell, though. If you want to support me monetarily, or if you really want to force me to dress as Agnes, you should support the Patreon. That is getting added to the goals. Celeste will cosplay Agnes from Seed Freedom, and look forward to the future video essay wise. I've got some fun stuff, including a project that I don't want to spoil, so I'm just going to let you know that its working title is This Was Supposed to Be About Die Buster. And the other one is going to be a much less fun Gundam topic. Gundam is Antifa, and here's why. And it's going to be very political, and I'm probably gonna have to turn the comments off. I don't know.
Politics and Gundam. That
Yeah, I
can't be
know.
right.
Shocking. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this escapade, Archivize.
Yes, thanks for having me.
And as always, keep on spocking in the free world.
In the free world. Have a nice night, everybody.